and welcome to the studio. I'm Henry Alfring, and today I'm going to continue my conversation of connection.
Hi, I'm outside the studio right now, and I've stepped outside the studio to take a moment to talk about connection in a way that I haven't talked about connection in the past. In the past, you've heard me talk about connection in reference to zoomorphic imagery. It's a great way to demonstrate connection by taking two diverse images and marrying them together as one. But Mother Nature also does the same thing. And to demonstrate that, I found this twig in the backyard, and there's a main branch, and all these little tiny twigs, even though they're different from one another, come together to create a beautiful piece in harmony. I decided to use this branch, or this idea of a branch, to create a piece of jewelry. So I'm going to go and take sterling silver branches that I have created, solder them together, and hopefully when I string them all together, it'll come out with a beautiful necklace that not only honors Mother Nature, but will show connection and harmony. So I'm going to break this down for myself in a couple of simple steps. And to do this, I'm going back into the studio and get started on this.
Ready? Let's go! Keeping three simple things in mind as we go forward. Step 1, my inspiration. Step 2, be the silver castings. And step 3 will be all of those silver castings soldered together. We'll start, as I always do, with a rough drawing of some sort as a jumping off point. Being careful not to restrict myself. This will be like riding a bicycle and you're at the top of a hill and it's very steep and you decide you're going to go down the hill with your hands off the handlebar and hope that you don't crash and burn by the time you get to the bottom. This necklace will be very much the same way. It's going to be free for all and free form, and I'm going to hope that by the end I haven't crashed or burned. I'll begin by drilling a hole at either end of the main branch, which will house the soldered twigs, and those holes will provide the connection for the branches. After finishing all the drilling, I begin by taking a round burr and drilling in a seat for each of the twigs before I begin to solder them. By doing this, I'll ensure that each twig will be soldered in place very soundly. Once I'm satisfied with the fitting, I'll move on to soldering each branch one by one, which means each seat will have to be carved individually and each twig will have to be fit into each seat. And quite often I'll have to resort to doing a little filing to actually finesse the piece to sit within the little well that I've carved out for it. And then it's back to the soldering block once again, and as I continually add branches, I put a coating of yellow ochre on to help retard the solder from melting as I add a new twig onto the branch. And so it goes, step by step, twig by twig, solder by solder. I will continue this process until I have each branch filled with twigs. You'll notice as you watch this, I'm using a long metal instrument called a pick, and I'm using that to take the solder and place it in position. In order to do this, I first heat up a pellet of silver solder and let it melt up into a ball, and then I take the pick and the solder adheres itself to the pick, and then I can take the pick and move the solder into position and let the flame do its job. So much of this is about flame control and keeping a real close eye on what's happening to your metal as you proceed. I've completed all the branches. I next create my jump rings by wrapping them around a metal rod. And then I'll be cutting those jump rings so I can slip them through the branch holes and be able to connect all the branches. Although quite beautiful in its natural silver color, I want to carry the look further by oxidizing the silver to black, much like the branches look after a rainstorm. Using liver of sulfur, which is an oxidizing agent, I will apply the sulfur, which smells like rotten eggs, to the metal branches. As the metal darkens, the branches begin to look like they've just gone through a rainstorm. And here we are, as you can see, a close-up of the branches where I've added crystals to mimic water after a rainstorm on branches, and black pearls to mimic different buds on the branches. And I've done them all in different sizes just to create a little more drama. Look at the entire necklace on a form to give you an idea of how this finished piece looks. I find it interesting and found it kind of rewarding to do. I hope you enjoyed watching the video.